this week, the biggest, most prestigious award in football was given out. And that was the Ballon d'Or, which was given to Messi, which obviously means he's won the most Ballon d'Ors in history. And I think everyone expected it to go to Messi this year. But what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I suppose with it being a World Cup year, I suppose it does make sense, really. But I think Haaland can he's a bit hard done by, quite frankly, I think.
I think so.
Yeah. I mean, if it went to him instead of Messi, I don't think many people would have kicked up a fuss, but it was either going to be one of those two, wasn't it? So
yeah, it's really close. So I've got the voting numbers up here. And I was quite surprised how close it actually was. So Messi got 462 points and Haaland got 357, which I know it's a bit of a distance. But then it starts to drop rapidly after that. You've got Mbappe in third, who got 270 points. De Bruyne in fourth with 100. And then under him, you've got Rodri, Vinicius Jr., Alvarez, Osimhen, Bernardo Silva and Modric. I'm surprised Modric is still even in the conversation, to be honest. Yeah. I know he's good, but I don't know how good he is. What do you think of this? Do you think he was hard done by? Haaland was hard done by?
I think the Ballon d'Or, obviously, is the most prestigious award an individual player can get, but it is a fucking popularity contest at the end of the day.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at Messi. I know he won the World Cup, and you've got to take that into consideration because it's the biggest trophy of all for a footballer. But in League One, I think he got 16 goals, 16 assists. He didn't set the league alight. In a star-studded PSG team, which you probably would have expected him to get a few more, Messi being Messi. But I think the records that Haaland were breaking last year, it's really unfortunate, and I feel for him that he didn't win it. But with Messi winning the World Cup, you couldn't really see it going anywhere else.
No.
Now that's the thing for me. I think it's a really tough one to argue against, but at the same time, I feel like Messi deserves to have won it, and he had that obviously huge World Cup moment, but Haaland deserved to win it a little bit more based on his actual performances week in, week out. Whereas Messi, I think it's a bit more of that nostalgic. He just, do you know what I mean?
I think everyone who's a football fan wanted Messi to win the World Cup, didn't they? Just for the good of football. So it was inevitable. As soon as Argentina won the World Cup, they thought, well, Messi is going to get the Ballon d'Or now, isn't he? So
he was nailed on after that, and that's the thing. I did kind of want him to win it because he's I'd say the best player we've ever seen. And it's the one trophy that's obviously eluded him so far. So it was great for football, like you said, for him to win it. But for Haaland to have the season they had, to do that week in, week out, what he was doing in his first season, win the treble as well.
First season in the Premier League. His
numbers. So unfortunate, man. It's you do really feel for him because you think he's not going to hit them numbers again anytime soon. And
well, he might.
I mean, to be honest, he's still got another good 10 years. So he will win it eventually, won't he?
It's all the records that he broke last season, obviously. You're not going to see records getting broken week in, week out like he did last season because it was obviously his first season. And you just felt like he was breaking a record every week.
He'd have to really outperform himself in a different season to even come close to the numbers he did last year. Because we mentioned it the other week. Josh said he was like a robot last year.
And City won the treble, and it's the first Champions League. Do you know what I mean? You just think, and that's what gives what he was doing more meaning.
I always feel when it is the Ballon d'Or, when the award's given out, if it's in a World Cup year, I always I think it's a bit skewed, isn't it? Because if the team wins the World Cup and a player helps them do that, they generally win it, don't they? So if it's a year that's not a World Cup year, I think that's more of a accurate kind of telling of who the best is.
It kind of you look at the actual season as a whole instead of narrowed down to one 4-week tournament. You just look at the whole year instead of obviously, as I said, narrowing it down.
Is it just the calendar year or is it the season? Is it just the 2023 year? Is that what it was? So
I think they're changing the way it works actually. So I think it's at the currently it's based on the whole year, like a calendar year. Whereas soon they're going to do it for a season. So it's whatever happens within a set season.
And it'll be like, say, the one that's just happened, it'll have been for last season, Haaland season, when they obviously run the treble. That's kind of what it'll be like, right?
Right, so I've got a question to you relating to the Ballon d'Or. Obviously, we saw Bellingham won the, Golden Boy Award?
Copper trophy or something. Yeah.
Who do you think is going to win the next Ballon d'Or? And do you have a sneaky shout for someone you think might win it in a couple of years that hasn't yet? Maybe they're not quite to Bellingham level.
I think if he keeps going at the rate he's doing now,
England
and Madrid, and Madrid win Champions League, England do. I think Bellingham could
Bellingham for next year.
Yeah, Bellingham for next year. Madrid should do well this year. They're firing from all cylinders, and honestly, I'd love for England to win the Euros.
Oh, yeah.
And I think if they did, it's like you said, tournament. It takes over how they look at it. And if he performs in that tournament and we end up actually winning something, who else is going to win it?
Yeah, if England finally win a major international tournament, I do think it will definitely be an English player that picks it up.
Or Kane, if you know.
I was literally about to say,
Kane.
I think Harry Kane's in with a big shout because he's obviously going to smash it up in the Bundesliga this year.
And he's the England captain as well, isn't he?
Oh, yeah.
His stats will be undeniable. So if he then goes and wins the Euros with England and scores 40 plus goals in the Bundesliga, probably makes it to the Champions League semi-final, if not further, then you would expect him to actually be in with a good shout at the Ballon d'Or.
It could potentially be an English top 2 next year. It really could.
Michael Owen, was he the last one to win it in 2001? Wasn't it? That's crazy.
The last English player to win it, yeah.
Did you see Bayern Munich got knocked out of the cup by was it a German third division
Something
side?
like that, yeah.
That's incredible, isn't it?
I've seen Thomas Muller. There was a clip of him going to speak to the fans after the game. You've got to think, what do you even say to the fans after a game like that? I mean, these things happen in football, but obviously the Munich fans will expect a lot more from the team. Not just the Munich fans, everybody would expect more from Munich. But what do you even say at the end of that? I
proper don't get that, me. Do you know when a player goes and speaks to the fans after a loss? I'm like, what's the point in actually... Who does that?
Yeah.
Would it really, as a fan, would it make you feel better if you just watch your team get battered and then when the players comes over and goes, "Oh, I'm so sorry"?
It'd be better than seeing them run down the tunnel, which some do after shocking performances, barely acknowledge the fans. No. Like Bamford after Stoke the other week, he didn't even clap the fans. But obviously, you can kind of understand why he wouldn't, because he'll have been getting abuse hurled at him, but rightfully so.
Yeah, sometimes you have to just take the abuse as well, don't you? If your performance has been genuinely dreadful,
if the abuse is justified,
just take the L if you have to.
Absolutely.
But I mean, Messi with the Ballon d'Or, deserved, yes. Controversial also. Do you know what I think is the biggest robbery in Ballon d'Or history?
I know what you're going to say.
The fact Lewandowski never got a Ballon d'Or.
Yeah, that's true.
Do you know, in the year when there wasn't an award and he won everything.
Oh, yeah, that's right, yeah.
But the season, obviously there was a pause in the season, but it's not like we hit factory reset. The season got played out, and that was the year he was in contention for it, and they just cancelled the ceremony. But it's probably because they couldn't have the actual big ceremony with hundreds of people coming to Paris and, being the showpiece that it is. And because they can't hold that, they probably just thought, well, we'll just do it this year then.
That's ridiculous. You should just give it to him anyway. Just
of course.
Announce it and just send it to him in the post or something. I don't know, just give it to him, definitely.
It's not about the players, though. It's about the fucking bigwigs there, and that's what they make it all about themselves when you're really there to celebrate football and the people that play it.
Yeah, because there's no reason for it not to happen. It literally made no difference. They could have still given him the award and somehow sent it out to him. Yeah. As you said, Ellis, I think it's just because they wanted everyone there, which isn't really
it's
on,
shocking, really, isn't it? Yeah. You got to feel for him. Really got to feel.
I think also with the Ballon d'Or, I think a few years ago, when Van Dijk lost out to Messi by like four votes or something ridiculous like that in like 2019 or something like that. So he was... for a defender to win it as well. I don't know when the last defender was it. Was it Cannavaro or something like that maybe?
Yeah, it was a long time ago.
It's really difficult for anybody that's not a forward player to win it. So for Van Dijk to be within literal touch,
it was literally a handful of votes as well. It's nuts.
I mean, it speaks volumes for the season. The season that he had and the impact that he had on Liverpool.